Here with me now is a lawmaker who was caught in the melee when he visited the site, New Jersey Democratic Senator Andy Kim. Thank you so much for being here. Earlier this week, you were there. You told my colleague that pepper balls were shot toward your feet. You said your eyes and throat were burning after the clash. And now, as I mentioned, there is a curfew there because clashes are so bad. What's going on at this point, and how do you think it can be tamed?
Well, let's make sure we focus in on what is really at stake here. It's not about me. It's really about the detainees, about the really on the unsafe and conditions that we're seeing within Delaney Hall. And that's what this has to be about. All of the protests, it needs to focus in on that, not about anything else. When I see this unrest growing, we want to make sure that these detainees are able to get visited by their families, by lawyers. And I was heartened to hear just before I came on here that Governor Sherrill announced that visitation will start back up today. It's the first time in over a week. And these families of these detainees have been just besides themselves that they haven't been able to see their loved ones. But being able to make sure that we're focusing on increasing the medical care, where we're getting better food, that the conditions are there, that's where we need to be focused on. It shouldn't be easier for ICE to deploy pepper spray and riot police than to be able to provide medical support as well as better food.
We're seeing these images. I'm hearing what you're saying, which is you're hoping that these things, everything calms down, which is understandable, and focus on where you're trying to focus. But people are looking at these images and thinking of earlier this year in another city. Are you concerned about that?
Oh, I'm hugely concerned. Absolutely. I've gotten so little sleep this past week. I mean, this has been, one of the most difficult weeks of my entire life. And again, it's not about me. It's just I am so worried about my state. I've not seen my state with this level of precariousness during my entire time, in elected office. So I'm worried about what comes next. It's uncertain. And I'm hopeful again. The reason why I keep going back to, the detainees and their families is like that needs to be our North Star right now, because I get it. I talked with a lot of people. A lot of people are angry. A lot of people are frustrated, feeling like they're seeing and hearing about things happening on our soil with our taxpayer dollars that is not in line with our values as a nation. I feel it too, which is why I've gone there so many times. So I just urge everyone, please, let us try to do what we are set out to do, which is trying to make sure that there is a level of dignity and decency in this country, and that we can try to make sure that people can get the care that they need, and we can have accountability for what is happening in our name.
Let me ask you, because attorneys for detainees at the facility, they say hundreds of them went on a labor and hunger strike last Friday in protest of what they call inhumane and unsafe conditions. You were able to get inside the facility, and you said they were absolutely unacceptable. Secretary Mullen, Homeland Security Secretary, disputes that.
Yeah. And I talked to the secretary about this past week, and I told him my accounts, and I told him I'm going to be following up with more here. But, look, there is undoubtedly things going wrong inside Delaney Hall. When I talked with a man who has stage 3 lung cancer and he's not getting the medical care that he needs, these stories, they need to be heard.
Yeah.
And look, I get it. This is something that I hope the American people see. It's a choice. Delaney Hall is run by a group called Geo Group. Geo Group is getting nearly $1 billion contract to run Delaney Hall. So they tell me there's one full-time doctor. They could have, for 800 detainees, they could have more doctors if they wanted to. But again, that's cutting into the profits that they're trying to pocket. So this is a solvable problem.
Just real quick, and then I want to move on. The secretary also said that he is proposing punishing sanctuary states like New Jersey by cutting customs staffing at airports, potentially making it difficult to process international travelers. Is that something that you think he can do?
Well, look, that would be akin to just shooting ourselves in the foot. It would do so much, economic damage. And it's not just about Newark. If you try to shut down or make it hard for people to be able to fly into Newark, that's going to have repercussions all across our country. So, it makes no sense. Why doesn't he just focus in on the things that can solve these problems? I'll just lay out three quick things. One is that, we should just immediately be able to have medical personnel go to Delaney Hall, be able to make sure that we're hearing from all those that need care and adjust accordingly. We should have an independent investigation from the DHS Inspector General, something I've called for. And three, what the detainees are really focused on, it's not just about the conditions, it's about the fact that they are not getting their cases heard in courts. That's something we can fix.
I want to ask you about the Senate race in Maine. And the Wall Street Journal and New York Times reporting that last August, Democrat Graham Plattner's wife told his campaign about sexual text messages she had found between her husband and other women early in their marriage. And they were married in 2023. The Times says Plattner exchanged messages with as many as a dozen women, and his campaign said, no, it was up to 6. In a statement, Plattner's wife said she feels betrayed by the ex-campaign aide who revealed the information, and that the couple went to counseling. Do you have concerns about Graham Plattner?
Well, first I'll say is, I've been very much focused on the crisis in my home state, so I haven't been able to focus as much on this. But right now, this information's out there with any campaign in the country. The character and the transparency about the different candidates is going to come out. That's part of a campaign. And the voters will decide what it is that they ultimately think in terms of their ability to trust those candidates.
What do you think?
Well, look, right now, for me, I have not met him. I've never talked to him yet. But what I do hear from people in New Jersey around the country is that they don't trust this U.S. Senate right now, led by the Republicans, as we are about to go back into session this coming week. And what they are pushing on is, $60 to $70 billion more for ICE, for CBP, for immigration. They want that stopped.
So do what it takes to elect Democrats, regardless of
From my
questions
standpoint,
like this?
I will work with whoever the people of Maine elect, but I hope that they elect somebody that is going to stand up to this president, work with me to be able to fight back against all these dangers.
Yeah. And one of your fellow Democrats, Jake Auchincloss, said that because of other red flags, including the fact that Plattner had a tattoo with Nazi origins that he later covered up after that came out, Auchincloss said that Plattner's tattoo and his commentary about it were disqualifying. Do you agree?
Well, look, like I said, this is up for the voters of Maine. In New Jersey, I stood up against my previous senator who was indicted for corruption. I felt like that was something where we had to draw a line, and we will make these decisions as they come. But again, I think right now what I'm overwhelmingly hearing from people is that they are terrified about the trajectory of this country, that so much is at stake, especially a Senate majority that could very well put 1 or 2 more Supreme Court justices into the Supreme Court for Donald Trump. These are real concerns, and I think there needs to be unity, that we need to make sure we're focused on the change that the American people are demanding.
Senator Andy Kim, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it.